The Nigerian government has recently secured a $1 billion investment for a new iron ore to steel project in Kogi State. This project is a significant step towards promoting local value addition in the solid mineral sector. Nigeria has a significant mineral reserve valued at $700 billion, including iron ore, but the mining sector contributes less than 1% of the country's GDP. Chat and Capstone Integrated Limited, a Nigerian firm, has partnered with China's Sinopec HE to develop an iron ore mining and steel mill. They signed a $1 billion Memorandum of Understanding presented to Mines Minister Dele Alake during the China-Africa Cooperation Forum in Beijing. The minister revealed that the project for the complex will be located in Kogi State, which houses large iron ore reserves. The state is also home to Australia's Micrometals, which is developing the Agbaja project containing 586 million tons of mineral resources and 205 million tons of ore reserves. While details on the project development timeline and production capacity have not yet been provided, reports indicate that Sinopec HE will be the main contractor managing engineering, procurement and commissioning for the mine and steel works. If eventually successful, this project could increase the mining sector's contribution to Nigeria's economy. The sector contributes less than 1% to the GDP despite the country hosting $700 billion worth of mineral resources. The steel mill will also help Nigeria export more value-added products to China, addressing a trade deficit of over $1 billion. The global iron ore market currently faces a crisis, with prices plunging in recent months and expected to plunge further in the coming years. At present, iron sells below $90 per ton and is expected to decline to $78 per ton by 2033. Meanwhile, Guinea is preparing to bring its Simandou deposit into production by 2025, while South Africa, Mauritania, Sierra Leone and Liberia currently lead African iron ore production. It will be interesting to see how this development is taken into account by the continent's future iron ore producers. The government of Nigeria began to show interest in the establishment of an iron and steel industry in the country as far back as 1958, well before the advent of the oil boom period, thus having realized and accepted the importance of steel in the technological advancement of the nation. The federal government of Nigeria, by Decree No. 19 of April 1971, established the Nigerian Steel Development Authority to plan, operate and maintain iron ore steel plants in the country, as well as carry out steel raw material surveys, suitability tests and mining operations. In conjunction with Techno Export or USSRO, the Nigerian Steel Development Authority carried out geophysical and geological investigations on different ore sites. The most promising deposit was located at Itakpe Hill, close to Okene in Kogi State. Detailed investigation established the reserves to be about 200 million tons with an approximate iron ore grade of 36 degrees. Decree No. 60 of 19 September 1979 dissolved the Nigerian Steel Development Authority and established 6 companies, one of which was Associated Ore Mining Company. The Associated Ore Mining Company was later renamed National Iron Ore Mining Company in 1987. Nigeria is richly endowed with abundance of mineral resources. The country boasts of more than 40 valuable mineral deposits including clay and kaolin, gold, gypsum, iron ore, lead and zinc, phosphate, and tin across the 36 states of Nigeria. Barite, bitumen, coal, gold, iron ore and limestone, lead, zinc and coal have been identified by the federal government through the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development as Nigeria's strategic mineral deposits on grounds of their economic value. Products such as granite, gravel, marble, sand and other construction materials are in high demand locally because of a combination of a growing housing deficit and infrastructure development projects. However, notwithstanding the growth in preceding years, Nigeria has barely scratched the surface of its enormous geological potentials, taking into consideration the contribution of less than 1% by the mining sector to her GDP. Although the productivity level of the sector is insufficient to meet local demand, particularly for industrial materials, Nigeria has been unable to attract significant investment in exploration of her mineral resources. These constraints can be traced to the lack of attractive environment for private sector mining, paucity of accuracy and up-to-date geological information and other systems to manage the information, poor performance of institutions and limited enforcement of regulations, insecurity in the host communities, and insufficient human skills and capacity to effectively manage the sector. It is critical that Nigeria positions its mining sector to attract foreign investments and partnership, as is the case in Angola, South Africa and other African nations who have made veritable progress, especially in creating a better business environment for investors in the mining sector. With more than half of the country's revenue derived from oil exports, Nigeria's economic progress is practically tied to the boom of the oil market. However, the uncertainty of oil prices, lack of transparency in revenue obtained, lack of proper use and accountability in proceeds generated, alongside the drive towards energy transition necessitates the need for economic diversification. Neighboring countries like Ghana and South Africa have found the mineral mining sector to be a good contributor to their GDP. In Ghana, for instance, mining is said to account for 5% of the country's GDP and 37% of its export, while South Africa's solid mineral accounts for 18% of its GDP, half of its foreign exchange earnings, and approximately 1 million jobs. Diversification is an important element of economic growth. According to an estimate by the committee put together to develop a roadmap for the sustainable development of the mining and metal sector in Nigeria, the minerals and mining sector could generate more than $25 billion by 2025, which makes up to 3% of our GDP. The mining sector is widely recognized as a key driver for industrial development. Thus, emphasis is placed on the need to follow through the execution of the industry plan in order to obtain benefits that will accrue from the mining sector. Minerals contribute a large portion of the inputs used in manufacturing and production of numerous economic goods, and is an important contributor to the construction and drilling industry, the making of automobiles, ICT gadgets, solar panels, furniture, papers and rubbers, medical equipment, and energy generation. There is no doubt that if the opportunities in the sectors are fully maximized, it will create job opportunities and improve living standards, reduce cost of production for local manufacturers, reduce dependence on foreign exchange for import of materials, reduce infrastructure deficit, and also enhance competitiveness of our local industries, amongst others. There are a number of reasons why investment in this sector has been low, some of which includes illegal miners and the insecurity posed by these miners, perceived instability in the legal and regulatory framework, political interference, lack of transparency, ineffective management by regulatory agencies, little public knowledge of the sector, including environmental and sustainability factors, amongst others. With the $1 billion investment by the Chinese investor, it is therefore important to note that this is a step in the right direction, as it will go a long way to boost the sector whilst also boosting the economy and also reducing the pressure on the naira. To be sincere, the need to attract foreign direct investment cannot be overemphasized, as it is a critical vehicle for economic growth and development.